tutorial. This tutorial will give you a basic overview of the Nology nDrive file service and sync product, as well as an overview of the key features of the product, troubleshooting aspects, and things to watch for. Appreciate you joining me. For those of you that are just getting started with nDrive for the first time, you'll notice a few new things about your computer. Firstly, you'll have an nDrive icon here on your desktop. This is the quickest and easiest way to access your files through nDrive. Just double click on the icon and you'll go ahead and have all of your files and folders. Keep in mind your team shares or your folder shares may be slightly different than mine, as these are for my organization. You can manipulate and work in these just like you would any Windows files. You can drag and drop files into the nDrive folder. You can delete and manage things through the nDrive folder as well. And you can work from your files directly here. Most of the time, this is how you're going to be accessing and using your files that are stored within nDrive. You can go ahead and you can open up any of these files or folders, and you are able to access the files directly through here and work on them right within your version of Word or whatever you would use for Office. You're able to go through, make changes just like you would on a file server on your computer, hit the save button with those changes, and those changes are now going to be synced across your entire organization. The only thing that's slightly different from working on typical Windows files is that you'll notice the green check marks alongside all of the folders here. Those green check marks show you that all of the files and folders are synced and up to date within your organization. The other options for these might be blue circle or no watermark over the icon at all. If you notice the green check mark, like I mentioned, that's telling you that all the files and folders are up to date. If you notice a blue circle, that means that the files and folders are still updating. And if you notice no overlay in terms of a check mark or a blue circle or any other overlay, that's typically telling you that the nDrive is not syncing. Usually the reason for that is if you're not connected to the internet or if you've paused the nDrive sync. You can also find the status of the nDrive at any point in time by coming down to your system tray here and hovering over the nDrive icon in your system tray. You'll see here that it's showing me all of my files are up to date. The other options it might say are file sync in progress, or it may also show you that it cannot connect to the nDrive server. Basic troubleshooting, if you do see that it says cannot connect to the server, or you see a red X here, most of the time that's either going to be caused by the fact that you don't have an internet connection, and if you do have an internet connection, most of the time a reboot of your computer will solve that problem, although it shouldn't happen for you very often at all. In addition to your basic manipulation of files and folders here within the nDrive, you also, where the real power of the nDrive comes from is the full-featured web portal, which I'm going to show you how to get into and jump into here in just a second. But first, I just want to show you a couple more things about the desktop version. As I mentioned, anything that you put into these folders with the green check marks are going to be synced to your organization's security policy. So if, let's say, 10 people in your organization were to have access to this Nology accounting folder, if I drag and drop any sort of document or file into that folder, now everyone who has permission to that folder is going to have access to that particular file. Couple things to keep in mind with this is that if you are moving really, really large files, that can take some time to sync. Like I mentioned, you'll see that blue circle overlay if I go ahead and put one of those files in. And once that turns into a green check mark, then things have been uploaded to the server. But large files may not be available to everyone in your organization immediately. In addition, moves of files and folders are treated as deletes and re-adds. So keep that in mind if you're moving around a large portion of data. If I was to take, one of these, let's say a very large folder and move it into another folder, that's treated as a delete and a re-download. So if you do that with large art files or video files, keep in mind that that may cause the nDrive to sync for a prolonged period of time. If the nDrive has just been set up on your computer or your organization, and your organization does have a lot of data, typically we would advise that you let your computer sync either overnight or for a couple days until all of the check marks and the status shows, like it does here, that all files are up to date. One of the big recommendations, if you are syncing a large amount of files for the first time, is to change the power settings within your computer. If you are using Windows 10 like me, you can just go ahead and open up your start menu and start searching on the word power, and you'll see that one of your options is power and sleep settings or power options. If you're using Windows 7 or Windows 8, you'll just have this power options when you go ahead and jump in there and search. If you go ahead and open up those power options on your machine, you'll see, for instance, I'm on a laptop here. So you'll want to know, when does the computer sleep? If I'm going to leave my laptop open and let the nDrive sync, I would like to make sure that the syncing doesn't get paused by the computer going to sleep. So you see on mine, I have it set to never put the computer to sleep if it's plugged in, only put it to sleep if it's on a battery to conserve battery. So you can go ahead and edit those settings right from within your power plan to make sure that the nDrive continues to sync until it is completely synced up with the rest of your organization. In addition, you can lock your computer or log off of the computer as well, and that will not stop the sync. So for security reasons, if you would like to log off of your computer or you would like to lock the computer before leaving at the end of the day, you may go ahead and do that, but don't shut down the computer because that will stop the sync. So where the power of the nDrive really comes from, besides the ability to sync all of your files and folders across your organization without the need for an expensive file server, is really the web portal, which allows you to do things like undelete, view revision histories of your files, look at audit logs in terms of your files, and things like that. The quickest way to get to the Nology nDrive web portal is to come to the nDrive icon down here in your system tray, right-click on that, and go ahead and say, go to web portal. If you go ahead and click on that, it's going to automatically launch your default web browser, and it's going to go ahead and open up that web portal for you. So you'll notice this opening up. And if you have your password saved, it will also automatically log you into the portal, so there won't be a separate login step. In addition, if you're on a computer that doesn't have the nDrive installed and you just want to get to the nDrive portal to view or manage your files, you can just navigate to this address here, the nDrive.syncedtool.com. You don't have to type HTTPS, your browser will automatically do that for you. You will be required to log in if you're accessing it that way, so make sure that you know your username and your password. When you do get into the web portal here, you'll see that I have all of the same file and folder structure as I had on my computer in the nDrive application. I also have the ability to create new folders and upload files right from within the web portal. I can also search for files within the web portal, just like I could on my computer, and I can download those files. So if I'm on vacation using a shared computer, I can access all the files and folders right through the web portal. Where things get really, really powerful within this web portal is the ability to share files, view revision histories, and undelete files, as well as preview files. For instance, if I come into any of my particular files or folders here, so let's take our partners directory for an example, I can go ahead and I can do a couple different things with this folder. If I want to share this with a partner, all I have to do is right-click on that folder and click the share button here. It's going to launch me into a window that's going to give me some different sharing options for what I'd like to do with that folder. I can do a secure share, which is typically going to be my default option. What a secure share does is it will only allow me to share this folder out with people who have a predetermined username and password. So it's going to have me actually add an email address here under the recipient section. I can add a custom message here if I would like, and then I can go ahead and choose what my guest has access to do. Can they upload files? Can they delete files? Or can they do neither? And when I hit that share button, that user is going to get an email that says Brendan Liner has shared a folder with you, and it's going to have them create a password to access that folder. And then I can also revoke these permissions at any time if that's a needed thing in the future. You also have a couple different share options that you can set up for these accounts. You can set an expiration date. So I can say, if this is not downloaded by the end of the month, then the link and the file shares go ahead and expire. I can also do a notification on download or upload. So if I want to know when someone adds something to this folder, or I want to know when someone downloads something from this folder, I can set up those notifications and those will come directly to my email account. In addition, if I'm just sharing something that's not sensitive, whether it's a folder or a file, I can do a public share. A public share will create a custom link that I can copy, and anyone that has a copy of this link can then access those files with no username or password required. So it wouldn't be recommended for sending any sort of sensitive data. It also will not allow anyone to upload any files. It's simply for a download-only public share option, which is great for marketing materials or other things like that that you may want to share outside of your organization. You can still get notified on downloads for public shares, and you can also still set expiration dates on those public shares as well. This is what the screen will look like for the person that you shared it with. So whether it's a public or a private share, when they log in, they will have access to that partners directory or whatever directory you're sharing with them, and they'll be able to see everything that is in that directory. You can also share single files or subfolders within the menu tree as well. In addition to the power of sharing, you also have the power to manage revisions of files and undelete files. So for instance, if your organization, someone accidentally deletes a file, or you have somebody in your organization with maybe some malicious intent who goes into the nDrive and deletes a file, there is a one-click recovery for those deleted files. You'll notice here, if you look on the right-hand side, you have some options that you might be wondering what they are. One of those options is to show deleted. By default, any deleted files within the nDrive are going to be hidden from view. So I want to come in here and I will want to hit the show deleted button. And the show deleted button is going to show me any files or folders within the directory I'm surfing in that have been deleted. So you'll notice here that we have a deleted folder called forms. Well, if that deleted folder needed to be recovered for one reason or another, all I have to do is right click on that folder and I can click restore. That will restore the folder for all users that have permission, including guest accounts and public shares as well. I can also permanently delete it from the system if I want, if I know I will never need this again, because deleted files still do use up storage space on your nDrive and can contribute to additional costs. By default, unless you've requested custom setups of the nDrive, the revision history window and the undelete window are 90 days. Custom windows are available at your request, but if you haven't requested that custom window, all of these files are recoverable for up to 90 days. The other thing is, if you don't want to restore by a one-by-one file or folder method, you can also use this restore deleted button. If you click on that restore deleted button, I can go ahead and I can restore all files within this directory. And what that means is that any files that were deleted in the last 90 days will all be restored where they were. I can also do a custom date range undelete. So let's say, for instance, that I know that those files were deleted yesterday. I can actually come in here and I can select the 26th and I can hit restore, and any files that were deleted from the system within that 24-hour period will be restored to the nDrive. So there is quite a bit of power there. This is also great for companies that may be impacted by something like a crypto locker or a ransomware virus, being able to restore files and folders to the previous version before the ransomware was able to take hold on your computer. In addition to the undelete, you also have the ability to manage revisions. That's what the little scissors up here is. And what revisions are is anytime that you make an edit to a file, whether it's opening an Excel spreadsheet and making an edit of that file, or someone else in your organization renaming a file, you're going to create a revision every single time, even if it's just adding something as simple as a period inside the document. So what that revision will do is it's going to save every time that file's been changed for the last 90 days. And you'll actually be able to go in and you'll be able to view any of the revisions of that file over the last 90 days. So if you need to know what an Excel spreadsheet maybe looked like at one point in time, you can actually go in and open up that particular file, and you can right click on that file and click on revisions. And if there are any revisions of that file within the last 90 days, you'll actually see those revisions. So you'll see here within this screen, I have the newest copy of this file, which was edited on April 1st of 2016, and I have a previous copy of this file that was edited on the 16th of April 2014. My revision policy is obviously more than 90 days. So let's say I needed to restore this older version of this discovery tool. Well, I can hit restore revision, and that will actually replace this older version with the newer version, or I can download the revision and I can rename it something different. That way I will actually have both copies, the newer one and the older one, stored within the system. In addition, the system also has a built-in activity log. What's great about this activity log is it's uneditable by us or by anyone within your organization, so you're actually able to see exactly what anyone in your organization has done at any given time. If you're worried that somebody maybe deleted something or has been accessing files that they shouldn't, as an administrator, you can come into the activity log and you can go ahead and search these different parameters here, and you can see exactly who made the change and from what computer they may have made that change from, as you'll see here in some of the logs with some of our internal employees, and what some of the different things that they may have done and on what dates they did it, and the name of the computer that did that as well. A couple final things to go over in terms of the web portal. You'll notice up here on top of this banner, I can see that I'm logged in as myself. I can have the download nDrive app, and I can also log out. If I come under here under download nDrive app, this is going to give me all of the downloads for PC, Mac, iPhone, Android, and Windows Phone, as well as our handy Outlook plugin if you're using Outlook 2010 or higher. So if I hadn't had the actual nDrive application already set up on my computer and I wanted to go ahead and set that up myself, I can just come in here and I can download the Windows agent or the Mac agent, depending on what sort of computer system I have, and go ahead and walk through the prompts to set that up. In addition, if you have an Android phone or if you have an iOS phone or even a Windows phone, we do have mobile apps across all of those platforms, so you're able to access your files and folders truly from anywhere. You can go ahead and log into the web portal from your mobile phone and navigate to this screen and download the app. Or in my opinion, it's much easier just to go directly to the iTunes Store or the Android Play Market and download the application directly through there. As you'll see, here's what you're looking for when you search in the iTunes Store or the Play Market. The app is called Synced Tool, and it's the blue and green arrow here. And this is what you'll want to go ahead and download. Once you download it and enter in your username and password, it will set it itself up as the nDrive application on your phone. It is going to ask for a host name the first time that you set it up on your mobile device. The host name is the same as the web portal address without any of the HTTP or any of these after slashes. So your host name is going to be the nDrive.syncedtool.com website that you see here. You'll put that in for host, you'll put your email address in for the username, and then you'll put in your corresponding password for that system. The other thing is, if you'd like to change your password for the nDrive at any time, you can click on your name up here, and it's going to take you to manage your user settings, and you can change your password directly from that screen. In addition, a couple troubleshooting things that I'd like to review that are important aspects of the nDrive and things that you should keep an eye on a semi-regular basis. If we revert out of the web portal for just a moment here and go back to the nDrive application that's running on our PC, as I mentioned, you have the nDrive application down here by the clock in your system tray. If you right click on that, there's a couple different things that I want you to take note of. First and foremost, like I said, we were able to open the folder or go to the web portal right through here. We're able to see the status of the nDrive. We're able to see what folders are being synced within our organization. And then we're able to resolve sync conflicts. This is an important one that I want to point out. Despite the fact that the system has file locking technology built in that tries to prevent multiple people from being in the same file at the same time and making changes, if a user is using an old file format that is not docx or XLSX, which is the only format supported for file locking may not prevent multiple people from being in the file at the same time. In addition, if you have a user that doesn't have internet access at a given time when they're working on something, the system has no way to know if someone else is in that file at that point in time. As a result, the system will create what's called a collision file. A collision file, because the system is not smart enough to know who gets priority or which file is the best file, it will create two copies of that file, and it will call one of the copies collision Brendan or collision whoever the name of the person that created that collision is. And it will pop up under this resolve sync conflicts section as a 1, 2, 3, or however many files are impacted by that. When you click on that resolve sync conflicts button, you'll have a couple different options. Your first option is going to be to keep both of the files and then let you go in and manually reconcile them. Or your other option will be to give either the server priority or give your computer priority. So you can choose which file you want to become the primary file. I highly recommend reviewing both files before you make a decision to make sure that you don't lose any data. In addition, you'll be able to see how much of a percentage of your data has been used, so you'll know if you're getting close to your limit. You should also get an alert by email as you get closer to your limit. You'll be able to pause your sync. The pausing of the sync is beneficial if you are going to be traveling and using like a 3G or a 4G hotspot, as any nDrive data that's syncing over that hotspot is obviously taking the data from your cell phone plan. So it's highly recommended that you pause the sync when you're on those sort of metered connections so that you don't go over on your data plan with large files that may be dropped in there. Just keep in mind when the sync is paused, no one in your organization will see your changes and you won't see any of their changes until you turn off the pausing of that syncing. Last but not least, there's a properties menu here. The properties menu will show you a couple different things about your nDrive. Of course, how much of your quota that you've used, what your computer name is, your username or what account you're registered under. There's also some notification options. I can hide the desktop icon, so that will actually hide this icon here on my desktop, which I don't recommend since it's a handy way to access all of your nDrive data. There's also a desktop notifications that you can toggle on and off. Desktop notifications will give you a pop-up down here by your system tray whenever someone makes a change or adds a file that you have permission to know about. I typically turn it off for myself because if you have a high activity organization or a large organization, you're going to be seeing pop-ups nonstop every time someone's working on something. So you can go ahead and hide those just by unchecking the desktop notification box. But if you'd like to see those, they are on by default and you'll see those pop-ups happening in real time. In addition, you can also see activity. So you can go ahead and look at the activity here and you can see what files and folders have been uploading recently. Otherwise, the rest of this is relatively overly technical and we don't really need to go into it at this point in time. If you're impacted, our help desk or our salespeople will let you know that that's something that you need to review. At this point, that's all I have as the nDrive overview for everyone on this webinar. If you have any questions, as always, please contact us via phone, via email, or via our website, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions or provide you with additional support for the product. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.